If shonen anime has taught us anything, it's that every protagonist will always have an OP father. This is especially the case for son Jinwoo, who as we know is an absolute GOAT.
You're goddamn right.
Using the powers of the Shadow Monarch Ashborn, Jinwoo was able to easily become the strongest hunter in history. Nobody could stop him as his monarch's ability began to advance, even giving him the power to arise an army from the dead. But there was one man who was tasked with killing Jinwoo before he could even fully manifest his monarch's powers. A man who was granted a second chance of life by authority of the rulers, Sung Il-Hwan, Jinwoo's father.
God damn it! You can't make this up!
Yep, whilst Jinwoo has the powers of a demon god, his father has the powers of an angel. Hwan was one of the first hunters to ever exist, as when Gates started to appear 10 years ago, he stopped working his normal everyday job as a firefighter and became a hunter. This shows that Hwan always had wanted to help people, and it didn't matter if he was fighting fires or monsters. He was so good at his job that he advanced to the level of an S rank. However, he was never recognized for his strength as the ranking system hadn't been established at that time. Regardless, he primarily became a hunter because he loved his family more than anything and wanted to protect them from the new threat of gate monsters. 10 years before the story, Hwan was trapped inside a dungeon during a raid, which led everyone, including his son Jinwoo, to believe he was dead. This death established Jinwoo's moral compass, promising to protect his family in his father's stead, which we see him do by becoming a hunter to help his mother's illness and pay for his sister's education. However, Hwan survived, as before he could die of starvation, he was found by the rulers, who offered him a second chance at life as one of their 7 vessels. His only task was to kill the new Shadow Monarch, who was going to be born soon, and having no other way to return home to his family, he accepted their demands. And so Hwan would be sealed away until Ashborn's successor was born in Jinwoo, where probably, it was the last person Hwan ever wanted to kill. This puts father and son on completely opposite sides of a war that shouldn't even have involved humans to begin with, showcasing the corrupt state of solo leveling supernatural world. But to better understand why Hwan is tasked with killing his son, we need to look at the conflict that brought about this entire series. It starts at the dawn of time, when the absolute being created the rulers from light and the monarchs from darkness. One desired to protect and the other to destroy. But eventually the rulers got tired of this war and believed the absolute being was doing all of this for his entertainment. So yeah, they assassinated him. Yeah, there was actually only one ruler who remained loyal to the absolute being, Ashborn, who after being attacked by the rulers and on the brink of death, awakened a monstrous power placed within him as a fail switch by the absolute being, becoming the Shadow Monarch. Both the rulers and the monarchs feared him, and so he became an enemy for everyone. Eventually he went off on his own way, which allowed the rulers to end the war with their victory. However, the monarchs had a greater plan, which was to attack the human realm and destroy it. This led the rulers to use the cup of reincarnation to reset time and then, place gates, giving some of the humans mana so they can prepare for the incoming attack from the monarchs. Throughout this, it seemed as though Ashborn had joined the monarchs, but in reality, he never held any malicious intent for humanity. Rather, he simply wanted a human vessel for his powers and find his place in the universe. Being betrayed by your own brothers who killed your father, and then you can't even join the opposing side because they think you're too strong, so you have nowhere to go. Yeah, poor Ashborn. But say you are a ruler in all of this, and you see the most powerful entity in the universe universe is back, and it looks like he's about to destroy everything you ever cared about. Wouldn't you try to take some precautions? Well, the rulers did, and so after resetting time and then spawning the gates, effectively creating hunters, they also granted 7 humans the powers of the rulers, making them vessels and necessary warriors for the battle to come. These vessels would become the strongest hunters in the world, like Thomas Andre, Christopher Reeds, and Go Gun Hee. And finally, they tasked one of their vessels to stop and kill Ashbourne's vessel before he could be revived, where sadly, this one assignment was given to none other than Jinwoo's father. As you can see, the father-son conflict has nothing to do with Jinwoo himself and his dad, as the two still love each other very much. Regardless, shortly after Jinwoo became Ashbourne's vessel, Hwan was released and resurfaced inside a dungeon connected to the United States, and he was met by a squad of A-rank hunters. A human had never come out of a gate before, so the hunters tried to kill him, mistaking Hwan for a monster. But of course, they stood no chance against his powers. He slapped them all up. The Federal Bureau of Hunters arrested him after he had shown them he is him. But due to his poor English, he couldn't tell them that he was a human. So the US suspected him of being a magic beast with the memories of a human. But they weren't that stupid, so they decided to do the most logical thing and bring in the S-rank hunter Hwang Dong-soo, who spoke Korean and could figure out what was going on. During the interrogation, Dong-soo approached Hwan with a very antagonist nature, and boy, that was a mistake.
It was at this moment that he knew.
As that guy got completely wrecked. Yes, this is because despite being absent for a lot of the series, Sung Hwan is easily one of the strongest characters in the world. With that being said, let's go over Hwan's powers. Just like all the other hunters, his speed and strength are incredible. But due to him being a ruler's vessel, he's at a much greater level than even some of the strongest S ranks. As like I said, he made Hwang Dong-soo look like a bug compared to him, leaving him in the hospital for a very long time. To put things into perspective, Dong-soo is comparable to a level 58 Jinwoo, right after he got out of that red gate. At this point, Jinwoo was classified as a B rank. Jinwoo would have found it a hard time to beat him at that point, and yet Hwan obliterates him. And just like his son, Hwan uses daggers as his main weapon, showcasing another parallel between the two in not just personality, but fighting styles as well. Sung Jinwoo probably mimicked his father's fighting style when he first decided to become a hunter, wanting to be like the man he looked up to. Perhaps his most unique strength is his mastery of stealth, as Hwan is able to camouflage himself with his surroundings, hiding all traces of his presence. And just like every other ruler vessel, he can use ruler's authority and spiritual body manifestation. And if you guys forgot, ruler's authority is just like telekinesis, being able to move and control objects with his mind. Every ruler vessel has this, even Jinwoo, as Ashbourne, was originally a ruler. Spiritual body manifestation clads the user in a gold-like armor, or in a simpler term, makes the ruler vessel look like, one of the rulers. Jinwoo's version is slightly different due to being Ashbourne's vessel, but the same rules still apply, as Jinwoo was able to completely transform into Ashbourne during his final battle with the Dragon Monarch. But we never see Hwan use this. Why?
Shit, I don't even know.
So I think it's pretty clear that son Jinwoo may be him, but his father definitely gave him the best genes possible. This actually correlates to a theory Jinwoo had about a hunter's genes affecting how monsters are attracted to you. Remember his sister, Jin-Ha, was attacked by monsters at her school, which Jin believes is due to her being related to him and his dad, both S-rank hunters. Whilst Jin-Ah never actually gains powers and awakens, it's still very plausible she possessed some sort of inherent abilities on the level of her relatives, hence the monsters attacked her. The point I'm trying to make here is that Hwan is a goat. Bro is Timothy Sr.
What did he say?
After absolutely shitting on Dong-soo, he tells him to never go near Korea again, and so Hwan Hwan went on the run to find Ashbourne's vessel and kill the other monarchs, and he does just that. As during their Argent Guild arc, Hwan hunts down the Frost Monarch. He lures him to America and the two clash with intense strength. So strong, the fight creates a massive explosion of energy. The outcome of the fight is unknown, but Hwan was able to escape the battle with little damage inflicted upon him. We wouldn't see Hwan again until the Japan Crisis arc, where he's informed his target would be in the country. This is when Hwan finally discovers that Ashbourne's new vessel is none other than his own son. Hwan is horrified and can't bring himself to kill Jinwoo. Luckily for him, at this point in the story, the rulers have come to accept Jinwoo as one of their allies, and so Hwan is assigned a new mission. Yay! Instead of killing the new Shadow Monarch, he's now tasked with protecting his son, which Hwan is more than happy to accept. He may not be able to go to his son directly due to his role in the war, but is more than happy to protect him from a distance, as any good father would. Which is actually quite impressive, as not many anime fathers would know what that is.
There's my dad, I'm all alone.
But things don't get easier for Hwan, as after just learning he doesn't have to kill his son, he's framed as the primary suspect for the murder of the S-rank hunter, Christopher Reed. This is because whilst investigating his death, the Hunter Bureau discovered mana traces within the ruins of Christopher's home. Due to this, Jin-Woo would learn the truth about his father's survival, sending him into a state of shock and confusion, wondering if he would have to face his father in combat. But Jinwoo stood by his belief, knowing his father would have never done that. And as we know, this wasn't the case, as in reality, 3 of the monarchs jumped Christopher Reed, simultaneously killing him. Hwan had nothing to do with it. Hwan's arc would then come full circles during the Monarch War, as he would arrive in Seoul to save Jinwoo, who had been surrounded by 3 monarchs. After killing the Monarch of Plagues, Jinwoo would almost be killed, and in this near-death-like state would finally fully awaken as the Shadow Monarch. But it would take some time for him to awaken, and the 2 monarchs were still destroying South Korea's capital. This is when Hwan stepped in to fight the remaining monarchs by himself. It's here where we truly get to see the true power of Jinwoo's dad. Hwan would fight both the Frost and Beast monarchs, and this man, this absolute Chad, was able to send the Frost Monarch flying with a single kick and stab the Beast Monarch right through the jaw, causing him intense pain. However, despite being incredibly powerful, the Frost Monarch was able to turn the tide of the fight by summoning a massive ice storm, which sliced off Hwan's left arm. As Hwan braced for death, Jinwoo reawakened, easily destroying the ice storm. Knowing Jinwoo could handle the rest, Hwan fled from the fight to recover, but sadly there was no coming back from this. During his last fight, Hwan had used too much power, and because his human body could not handle the extent of that power, it was now literally crumbling away. Hwan accepted his fate. He had protected his son until his ascension and was content with the life he had lived. But Jinwoo wasn't going to let him slip away so easily, and in his final moments, Hwan tells him everything about how he survived and what the rulers entrusted him with. Hwan embraces his son, telling him he had grown and apologizing for not being there before dissipating into light. I'm not crying, you're crying. Sung Il-Hwan's life was one of somberness, wanting to live as a father but being given no option than to be a soldier in a war between gods-like beings. The same could be said with Jinwoo and all of humanity. They never asked to be in this war. They got nothing out of it besides death and destruction. Humanity was the true victim of this conflict, simply wanting to live normal lives only to be considered as cannon fodder. Jinwoo saw this. He saw all of the hunters, his friends, his sister, his mom, the girl he loves, and especially his dad. This is the reason Jinwoo uses the cup of reincarnation at the end of the series to reset time, so no humans besides himself would have to ever involve themselves with the war between light and darkness, taking the burden all by himself to ensure everyone he cares about can live fulfilling lives. But even after time is reset, Hwan is still plagued by the memories he obtained as one of the ruler's vessel, having to pretend he doesn't have them in order to live the life he wanted with his family. So it's not really a surprise when Hwan asks the rulers to erase his memories of the war, because after everything, all he wanted to do was to see his kids grow up, live out his life with the woman he loves, and just have a normal life. No rulers, no monarchs, no powers, just a simple human life. If you guys want to enjoy more peak fiction, then check out this video next.